How's it going, everyone? So I'm on my buddy's, what year is it again?
2016.
2016 Kawasaki Concourse 1400. And with all the parts and the extra protection and luggage and everything, it's probably 700 pounds. So how do you not fear? How do you get over the fear of dropping your motorcycle? So the main thing is, first, when you're just coming to a stop, the bike is heavy. This thing is 700 pounds. Of course, make sure the bike is absolutely vertical, your handlebars are straight, and your eyes are straight as you come to a stop. That's just general basic tips, right? But mainly it's about when you're doing a U-turn, when you're doing low speed stuff, how do you get over the fear of dropping it? So like right now I'm at practice. Every single time anybody has ever dropped their bike, we go up to them, we pick up the bike, we make sure they're okay, and I always ask them, what's the last thing you did with the clutch right before it tipped over? And 100% of the time, I pulled the clutch in. When you pull the clutch in at low speed maneuvers, you take away the power to the bike, it just becomes a 700-pound piece of metal, it just wants to fall over. So the key thing is, if you look over here, to the clutch, right? So every bike has a friction zone, a part of the clutch where you have power and no power. So right now it's in first gear, so look at it. So right now this is all dead zone, and you need to know this about your own bike. This does nothing. So if you pull the clutch all the way in, and you're like, oh my God, where's the power? In this delay of you playing with this dead zone, that's when the bike usually drops. The friction zone, which means you ease out the clutch, the bike starts to get power, there it is, and I pull it back in. You see that? It's just this much. That is the key for low speed maneuvers. You pull the clutch in just enough to cut the power, but then you ease it back out just a little bit to give the bike power. And it's just a play of that friction zone. The clutch is not fully all the way in, it's not fully all the way out. Now we're just talking about doing the low speed technical stuff, U-turns, MotoJitsu drills, that's what I'm talking about. So a lot of times I see people, it doesn't matter how many fingers you use, 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't make no difference whatsoever. However, if you use 2 or 3, at least you have one finger, your pinky, wrapped around the handlebar, so you leave a little bit more control. I would recommend practicing that. But even if you use all 4, that's okay, it doesn't really matter. But the idea is you don't have to go all the way in, because there's 1.5 inches of dead zone, and you can always adjust your clutch about how far that friction zone is. You have to make it right for you. But the main thing is, it's only this much movement. Power, no power. Power, no power. So I'm gonna go through right here. I'm just gonna do a couple figure 8s, a couple circles. No brakes. This is just throttle and clutch. If I feel like, oh my God, this big 700-pound bike is about to fall over, the sensation you get, the bike wants to fall, most people's reaction is you pull in the clutch, now it probably will fall. And if it's gonna fall, just kind of don't hurt yourself trying to hold it back up, just let it fall over. That's why you have crash protection. Anyway, if you think the sensation, oh, it might fall over, that's when you wanna ease out the clutch a little bit to give the bike power and it'll stand back up. That's the key. Now, but I mean give the bike power. If you let go of the clutch, it's probably gonna stall and 100% you're gonna tip the bike over. So it's, again, the friction zone is 1/2 inch. Power, no power. Power, no power. Check it out. So as I'm doing, look at this real quick. Just to let you know. Watch this. This is the process I go through with any bike that I ride. So like, where's the friction zone? Okay, it's too far away for 4 fingers, so I went to 3. How far was it away? It's still a little bit too far for my liking for 3 fingers, so I'm switching to 2. And now it's just right there. There's power and there's no power. You see that? Now if I wanted it closer, I would adjust it to get it closer to the lever, so I'm only using 3 fingers. But you just kind of figure out, okay, where on this bike, he has it set up for him, but for me, okay, I'll use 2 fingers for this. Power, no power. Power, no power. Okay. It's just like, how am I going to figure it out? How do I want to use it? And I'm not going to use the brakes. We'll go over the brakes a little bit later. So how do you fear doing low speed turns to not drop the bike? It's all about the clutch. Hearing that, I'm not doing anything with the throttle. I was pulling the clutch in and easing the clutch out. I'm just slipping the clutch. I'm riding the clutch. With the throttle, it's actually irrelevant. You could go a whole lot of throttle and you could do no throttle. I want the bike to have power based on the clutch alone, not just the throttle. So you can keep it steady, But if your bike is a little bit less CC, less power than this big old bike, you might have to add 1% throttle, maybe 3,000 RPMs, and just try to get used to holding it there. So the bike always have power, and you control how much power you want to give the bike just with the clutch. So that's what you hear. No brakes being used, just the clutch, just the clutch. That is the main key. The bike feels like it wants to fall over. Most people pull in the clutch, take away power, the bike tips. If you get that sensation while you're practicing your U-turns, ease out the clutch a little bit. Give the bike a little bit of power, it'll stand it right back up and pull it right back in. It's all about that. Now, if you add the rear brake, you can start slowing the bike down more. It's like an anchor dragging behind a boat. You can slow it down a little bit. Everything else still applies up here, but you can just kind of get your speed a little bit slower. You could do tighter turns. Just a little bit more variability of what you're allowed to do. Like that. Now I'm at full lock. Coming to a stop, handlebar straight, eyes straight, bike straight up and down. So I couldn't possibly come to a pause and stop like that and kind of play around without the rear brake. So you get to practice that eventually, but the main thing is the clutch. It's all about the clutch. Hopefully this makes sense to you. Think about more about with the clutch and not so much the brake when you go out there and practice. If you have any comments, feel free to comment below. You know, I'll get back to you. And thanks for watching.